my computer, so it looks like I'm not reading it.
15. There we go.
There we go.
Ellen, you owe me $1.
Why? Wait, why?
Oh, and they're gone. Okay. All right. I think we can go ahead and get started. No more screwing around. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to our design workshop, the first of hopefully many events that we will help teach you about design. Today, our speaker is Ellen Okamura, the creative director for Freetail, and she's designed some really cool stuff, including this slide deck and our SummerHacks website. As usual, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the YouTube live chat, and I will happily ask Ellen on your behalf. Take it away, Ellen.
So hi, guys. As Ansh said, I am Ellen Okamura, and I'm excited to be here. Well, let's start it off. So this whole presentation is going to be very like principle based, but I will do demos at the end if anybody wants to see some work. But I'm going to start off with why is design important? And so this is a question I asked the applicants for Freetail's creative team. It's really valuable to realize how important design is to the world, and especially in this age where our generation is obsessed with aesthetics, design is super important. So like every man-made thing basically that you see around you is design. So like your bed frame, boom, design. Hydro flask, boom, design. Your lamp on your desk, made by an industrial designer. Nintendo Switch that you were playing probably earlier, also design. And the characters on your Animal Crossing and Smash games are also created by graphic artists and designers. So design is so important. So how does this relate to your SummerHacks project? How about why should you be concerned about design? So in this case, visual design may not seem as important since this is a coding competition. However, if you do want the benefit factor to help reach like first place, or if you're possibly thinking about taking your project to the market, your design will be very crucial. So in most cases, people do hire designers like myself to do the visual design for your creations. However, if you don't have one, or for this instance, you're competing or coding and trying to focus more on concept and mechanism work, I'm going to show you how to beef up your visual aesthetics. Yeah. All right. So first of all, I'm going to start off with color right over here. Color is super important. It may sound very basic to you, but color is crucial. It's one of the first things you remember when you think of a logo, and it's got a bunch of different meanings. So you don't usually think about it, but I'm going to be going down the list of RGB, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, plus purple for the color scale, and briefly describing the colors associated with what. And so try to pay attention and keep an eye out to see if any traits or aspects match your project's intention, because this could really help if you haven't started designing yet. This would be a great place to start. So I'm gonna start off with some red. So you've got, and also guys, if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I've got some notes right over here. So let's start off. Right over here, we've got, the Netflix, CNN, Target. So red symbolizes a lot of energy and power, strength, confidence and pride, danger, action, passion, desire, and love. So I guess right over here is CNN, for example. It's a pretty well-known news station. It's got a lot of, I know when you look at the logo, you can just feel kind of a sense of trust, It seems very, what's the word? Just very professional. So I don't know, it's just how the logo is presented and paired with color, it's really gonna help you a lot. I'm gonna move on to our oranges with the beautiful UT sign there, hook 'em. So orange can stand for energy and balance, creativity, warmth, cheerfulness, and enthusiasm. You can see that again there's a lot of, I guess, orange sodas. Right here is my favorite over here. This is the Adobe Illustrator, which is a designer's dream program. I'll be talking about it later. Yellows, right over here, we've got, it can stand for caution, optimism, positivity, joy and happiness, friendliness, and intellect. So we've got a lot of good brands over here. Definitely McDonald's, I would say, gives off that very friendly vibe. So the Subway, IKEA, of course, too. Greens over here stands for life, growth, wealth and money. I'm gonna arrange my notes. Freshness and environment friendly. So if you guys are perhaps working on a project that focuses on targeting environmental quality and environmental health, this would be a great color scheme to go with, or something of the sort. I would say just go ahead and vary colors. There's a whole color spectrum out there, but yeah, let's move on to blues. So blues over here, blues can stand for wisdom, loyalty, tranquility, health, trust, security, and cleanliness. So there are a lot of blue logos that I can think about right here. I mean, I know a lot of tech companies tend to go toward blue logos as well. I mean, and also you've got a lot of social media where it was, I think, can't remember if Instagram was blue at a time, but you had Instagram. I know it's all rainbow now. Facebook's, blue, Twitter, Skype, and the sort. And then lastly, I'm gonna end here with purple. Purple can stand for royalty, luxury, spirituality, sophistication, and extravagance. So, and just to let you guys know, these vary. I mean, obviously this, if you wanna do something with green to show power or whatever, it's not wrong in the book, but just be mindful that with colors and shades that you do end up using, because they do tend to impact how the viewer first sees your logo. So moving on, and with that in mind, I'm gonna bring you guys to Ellen's tips to starting a good design. Yay! Alrighty, and let me set this up so I can kind of reference this.
Wait, Ellen, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on companies that have logos with like multiple colors, like Google?
I honestly, yeah, Google is a really iconic one. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. It does help to have a single kind of defining color, especially for smaller companies, because, and I'll probably get to this more on it later, but printing costs, if you do end up, printing out stuff, business cards, you have merch, t-shirts, or whatever. If you want to distribute stuff or make your logo kind of be able to go on the corner of another paper without using too much ink, I would suggest trying to limit it to one or two colors. I usually stick with, I don't know, I'd pick one or two colors, preferably just one, if anything, and then black and white. But and I've seen those logos be the most effective too, like, Amazon, Nike. Most logos tend to be one color, but obviously if you want to do more, like, go ham. It all kind of, see, design is a very broad subject because it depends on just how you set it up as well. Like, if you've got a really good designer, or if you are a really good designer, you can make stuff work with what the client wants. If the client wants several colors, you make it work. But yeah, good question though.
Cool, thanks.
Alrighty, so I've got my 3 tips on what I consider, I guess, helpful when in the design process. First, I'm gonna say, have multiple people look over this. I've stressed this so many times to my friends who are in design or designing stuff. Have multiple people look over it. Don't just ask your mom or your best friend. Ask several different people. Make sure they're honest. I ask my friends that I know won't be afraid to tell me my designs are shit. Like, oh my God. I want my friends to tear me a new one. And so that brings you to number 2. You have to be able to take a little bit of criticism for them to be honest, right? So don't get angry when they tell you feedback and they're not saying it's perfect. It's fine. They're just trying to help you out. So yeah, being in the design major gave me such thicker skin because the teachers will point out every single little detail and criticize it. And honestly, it's made me into a better designer today. So definitely ask people. You can feel butthurt, but don't get mad because I'll help you in the end. And 3, remember who you are designing for, because this is really important. Lots of people, they get caught up in the design process, or they're like, oh, this looks really pretty, and they keep going this other route, but the end product might turn out not looking at all like what your company is standing for. So always remember, who's your audience? Are you designing for teenagers, kids, I don't know, millennials, women, men, your target audience, and remember, what your company is. And then right over here, I want to discuss logos, which I'm not sure, probably some of you have already started, some of you might have not, but logos are really important to making the face of your company. So you definitely want to think about color in this. And so probably think about the color schemes and the vibes and what they stand for, like I mentioned earlier and I went through earlier. I would say the most successful logos that I've seen are the ones that can use, and as I was telling Ansh right now, that can use one or two colors, like I guess like the ones I have over here. These don't have a whole lot of colors. I know McDonald's is M. It used to have more colors, I believe, or it was wider. There was a huge design change, and it was like maybe 10 years ago. And they did it so they could save a lot of money, because when they were printing on cups and making all their packaging, it was costing a whole lot of money. So definitely try to stick with less color, or I guess less variation, just to save money. I mean, if you're rich, again, go ham, but some saving tips. Next one, I would say go for and make sure that your logo is legible. You can do crazy fonts, whatever. If your logo has text in it, though, definitely I would say make sure, like at a glance, somebody could read it. Like Amazon here, they have a very nice sans serif, and it's easy for people to read and, glance at it and know, oh, that's Amazon. And then third, let's see. I'm gonna adjust my notes here so I can talk about my third points. So make sure when you're designing the logo, you're able to tell what the company is still. So, if you have a goal or a vibe that you want to set out, definitely make sure it kind of conveys that. Nike's kind of got that signature swoop, right? And that's got that action feel. It's clean and crisp, and it feels sporty. Amazon right over here. And so I have these three logos at the side because they're what I would consider really good design. They're so cool. So Amazon, if you didn't know, the yellow arrow stands for them selling everything from A to Z. The Goodwill sign, that face, that little smiley face that they have, is also the G for Goodwill right over here. And then FedEx over here, their packaging, you can see there's an arrow between the E and the X. And so it's just like the little details like that that really make a logo strong and iconic, honestly. So definitely keep those into consideration, get creative with it. Alrighty, my next page, I'm going to talk about finishing aesthetics. So when you're building a website, an app, or whatever, you're going to want to consider the typography that's on it. When I was making the SummerHacks website, that was a big thing that my team and I, and also Ansh, we were trying to figure out what typography that we wanted, because it has to fit whatever aesthetic that we're going with, right? We want the fun summer loving, but also, the coding competition aesthetic. So we went with a sans serif, but make sure that when you're thinking of type, just to remember kind of the certain feels. Personally, when I use typography in a project, I use serifs for more, I guess, I think a lot of Vogue, that's a serif font. I also think a lot of very sophisticated, I don't know, when you open a book with the Times New Roman serif fonts. So I tend to think of classy, or I guess very traditional kind of shops, or maybe websites, or whatever you're focusing on. If it's more traditional or it's very fancy or high class, I tend to go for serifs. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but that's what I tend to go toward. And then I tend to go for sans serifs if I'm designing for maybe tech companies or something modern, or if I want a fun feel, if I want people to feel, I guess, like it's a friendly font would probably be a sans serif font in my opinion. And it's never bad. There's no real saying that you can't pair the two fonts together, but I would definitely play around with it, and make sure that if you're using a font for a body text, make sure it's legible, it's easy to read. You don't want something super thick or super elongated for your body text, because you want people to be able to read it. So if you have an app and you're describing something or describing what's happening in a body paragraph, just make sure the text is a legible font that isn't super thick or crazy or wild. For shape, I've got some stuff over here. I want to talk about how geometric shapes compare to organic shapes, and that can help a lot with logo building, graphics on the side or whatever. So organic shapes tend to suggest or represent natural objects. So those will be like, I don't know, an outline of a swan or something, or even these just wacky abstract shapes, which can trigger well, I'll read this definition. They can trigger predictable responses. And the classic multi-pointed star used to attract attention. It's kind of like that comic book spiky bubble that you usually see when people are shouting. So that's used in advertising a lot, and it's a common example. And our hardwired response to snarling teeth, sharp horns, barbs, and thorns is to take notice, observe, and react. So for many years, advertising has used this inbuilt reaction to sell products. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, if you're using a lot of jagged edges, probably won't kind of give off a gentle, flowy, fluid feel for your website, right? Or if you're using a lot of fluid edges, probably won't give off, I don't want to say powerful, but a strong, if you want like a really in your face feel, probably won't give that off either. As for geometric shapes, most geometric shapes tend to suggest man-made objects or a man's interpretation of natural objects through symbolism or representation. And so I would use geometric shapes. Those are really in style nowadays for design. A lot of geometric shapes are used for just graphics in the background as an aesthetic. I really like to use them for kind of modern companies, maybe tech-based as well. I've used a few geometric shapes in the background. So that is another thing to consider. And then I'm going to point you guys to some programs. So my classic program that I use is Adobe Illustrator. I love everything within the Adobe suite. So if you have that, I would say 100% use it, but it is costly. And if you don't have it, don't sweat it. There are plenty of other programs out there. I know Sketch and Figma are really great ones to use. Sketch also costs quite a bit of money, I believe, but it's also a really great designing program. So Sketch and Adobe Illustrator are the two big ones that design majors use, but I know Figma, I know quite a few comp sci students who actually use Figma, and that probably is the way to go if you're designing. I'm sure lots of you have already heard of it already, but definitely check that out because it can help you code your site better in response. And then I've put in 2 free little programs that I've heard work really well. I used to use GIMP, but it was kind of crappy, but that was also like 20 years ago. Okay, like 18 years ago. So GIMP apparently had a huge update, and they do graphics, and so does Inkscape, which works on vector graphics. And so vector graphics is what a lot of design majors use Illustrator for. So vector graphics, essentially, you can resize them to any size and they won't be pixelated. They won't lose their quality. So that would be really great for a website, because if people are zooming in, you don't want it to be super pixelated, right? And then here's my thank you slide. And don't worry, it's not over yet, unless you want it to be. But I just want to throw it out there that, most of you are college students, some are maybe graduating. So if you're thinking of creating a startup or working on professional projects, I'd suggest hiring a designer. Freelancers do a lot of great design work at a low price. I'm a UT student, and quite a few design majors, including myself, do freelance work. And this ranges from logo and branding design to like graphics or app and web design. So for future reference, I would suggest hiring a professional designer for if you're planning on taking this to the market. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? I can do a demo as well if you guys are interested.
I'm interested.
You're interested?
Yes.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions so far? No?
We'll have to wait a minute or two for the stream to catch up. Why don't we go ahead and I'll ask you I'll interrupt with any questions that pop up.
Got you. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. And then I'm going to show you my Adobe Illustrator. So this program, I'm not sure if a lot of you, oh, here's Ansh's little project that I made for him. I'm not sure if a lot of you guys probably have other programs like Figma or maybe Sketch or GIMP, as I said, some of those, and that's fine. But if you have Adobe Illustrator, definitely, do it. I'll walk you guys through kind of my design process. So hopefully that can help you get kickstarted. I'd start out by setting the artboard up. Actually, let's do an app. Yeah, I want to do an app. All right, let's see. We'll do the dimensions for an iPhone X, which is 1,125 pixels by 2436. We'll set this up in Longboy. Alrighty, and let's see. I'm gonna pull up my toolbar.
Oh, we have a quick live question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody asked, what is your opinion on using color gradients?
Oh, I love those. I wouldn't stack them on top of each other though. I would say if you want to use them in the logo, that's fine. Personally, I tend not to use gradients in logos, but I've seen them done before and lots of them have looked really good. But of course, with printing, that's going to be super expensive. So I tend to keep the logos solid colors. But definitely, I love gradients in like the background. I love gradients on websites. I think it could really make stuff pop. App designs as well. If you want to put gradients in the background as you're scrolling, I think that could be a really cool effect. So 100%. Alrighty, and also let me not just share that screen. I'm gonna share my whole desktop computer because I trust y'all. So I don't know, Ansh, give me a weird name for my company that I'm designing for.
Toddler.
Toddler?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
With 3 Ds.
With 3 Ds, got you. And so I take my type tool. I don't know why it gave me a lot of filler text. Toddler. We love it. What's the purpose of Toddler?
Pairs you up with other toddlers in your area for play dates. Credit to Brooklyn Nine-Nine for the idea.
We love that. Alrighty. Perfect. And so another thing, and I'm going to go into this for type as well. Definitely look online for some great free type faces and also images. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. This is live stream Inception. Actually, let me end this and I'll bring it up here. So let's see. I can go to Adobe Fonts. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be Adobe Fonts. You can go to literally any font website and search up a font that might kind of fit, the vibe that you're going for. Toddler has kind of that fun feel, so I kind of want to go for maybe, I don't know, either a comic or maybe a brush pen kind of look. Oh, these look fun. Let's see. Oops. Here we go. I always have that bad habit of swiping on my keyboard and losing everything. So right over here, and make sure whenever you look at a font, and this goes for images and fonts, always make sure that it's free use. So here on Adobe Fonts, because I'm paying for the subscription and everything, this usage, it says I'm free to use it on websites, logos. Technically, I'm paying for it, but oh well. But I can use it on a website, for my logo or whatever. So I will not get sued for using this. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the font. And then this is called Scriptorama Markdown. So I'm going to go ahead and look for that here. Kind of reminds me of Comic Sans. I don't really like it. I'm going to make this like a bit bigger. Right, and then you know what? I think I'm gonna search up a picture of a toddler. And so guys, when this is another important thing, when you're designing and you want to use images, again, free use, make sure they're free use, because you are not allowed to use or profit off of any pictures that aren't free use or aren't yours. So I would suggest stuff like Pixabay. Pixabay is a really good one. There's a lot of other, I guess, free use websites as well. Just make sure, you're not violating any guidelines. Let's see. I'm gonna search. It feels like such a weird, why'd you say toddler on? I feel like such a weirdo searching that up. Let's see. Maybe I want somebody running. This guy looks pretty happy. Yeah, this is the one. So I guess I could do free download, but I don't want to show you guys my dirty, all my files are very junky and I don't want to show you my folders. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it since it's not copyrighted. So here we are. Let's see. This is a little bit hard to work with because if I want the outline of him, I'd have to trace it. I could also, or I could actually bring it over in here. Let me open up Photoshop, in which they would, this is another great program that I would suggest using if you want to. Let's do open, not open, new, a clipboard. So I have it copied. And I'm just gonna go ahead and select this toddler right over here. It's pretty cute. I'm not really a big fan of babies at all, but here we are. Alrighty. What's on his pajamas? Oh, little acorns. All right. The rest of it I'm probably gonna trace because the colors are very similar to each other, so it's getting in the way of the wand tool that I was using. So I'm just gonna, press the shift button and click and draw around. Right, that looks pretty good. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and unlock the background, click this layer, and I think all I have to do is click this and press Control-C. You copy it, and then I'm gonna click back on my artboard over here. I'm gonna press Control-V. Wow, look at that, good design. Let's see, I'm gonna bring this up. The stroke, so the stroke over here, that is the outline. So if you see it getting thicker, it's because I'm upping the stroke. If I were to take away the fill inside of this, it would look like this. But I'm gonna keep that dark black. And I'm gonna expand this. And so all of this comes with, learning this program over the past couple of years, but you'll get the hang of it if you do want to go into that. So doing type create outlines, object expand. So I'm putting the stroke into this, so it's the same. And then I think I want this to have kind of a, let's see. I want like a backing to it. I don't want it, here, how do I describe it? I kind of want a shape around the letters. I want there to be more volume to that. So I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna press objects. I believe it's path and offset path. Yeah. I'm gonna offset it like 12 pixels, maybe 13. Let's look at the preview. Yeah. I'm gonna make that a nice orange. I think I'm gonna send that back. Yeah, a toddler. Actually, here. See how it's overlapping each other? It's because it was not deselected or not ungrouped. So now that I've got it kind of ungrouped, let's see. It's still grouped. So yeah, select all your orange over here. And what you can do with that now is join those all together. And that's what you would use the Pathfinder tool for. So I'm gonna go ahead and merge that. Ooh, I don't know why it ended like that. And I'm gonna right click and send this thing to the back. I don't know why it's doing that. Huh. We'll figure out later what's going on. Here we are. I don't like how the black letters look, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on all of them. And change their color, because black and orange kind of remind me too much of Halloween, and I don't want toddler to look like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and group all of those together, and then maybe make it like, ooh. So every so often when you're designing, something odd will happen, and you'll just have to figure out what exactly it was. Looks like, oh, you know what it was? It was, I did the outline, I didn't join it together. Okay, guys, it's not gonna be perfect, but we'll make something work. Let's see. I'll turn the outline white. Oh, okay. This is not my best design, but actually, let me do this. And then for the orange, I'm gonna select all of those. I'm gonna group. And another thing that I do, oh God. Another thing that I like to do with this, and this is on a lot of designs, I like to match whatever font or title thing that I have to kind of the color of what I'm designing for, I guess. So if I were designing for this specific baby and I want to make the title related to it, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of pull colors from what he's wearing. Like, actually, I don't know why that tool is not working. Here we go. When I select it, I'm gonna pull maybe this orange, or yeah, this orange right here. I guess it wasn't too off from the orange that we originally had, maybe a lighter. I'm gonna make that D over here not be so dark. There we go. Okay, those were some technical difficulties, but we got through them. So yeah, we have toddler. I would go ahead and, I don't know, maybe throw something in on the background, range sent to back. Maybe I do want a gradient because gradients are fun. So I might turn that into a gradient over here. We've got these nice little points that just easily show what you can do. I'm going to take that orange and I'm going to put this over here. And I'm going to maybe I'll make like a pink up here. Nah, make it like a yellow or yeah. There we go. And then maybe I want to throw in some fun kind of organic shapes like I talked about. Maybe I just want kind of this squiggly line. Let me make that thicker so you guys can actually see that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna probably fill that with let's see. I'll make it like a white, and then I'll press. I'm gonna go ahead and send it to back with some keyboard shortcuts. I'm gonna send it behind the toddler sign. Yeah, that's your toddler poster. It's not beautiful, guys. Don't judge me, but essentially, yeah, you want to use similar color schemes. You know, I wanted to go for the light, happy feel, kind of a fun, playful line, and maybe a fun, playful font. You can always play with the font some more too. Maybe I want to make it taller or wider on the whole screen. Maybe I want to say daycare underneath it. And it doesn't have to be the same font either. I could go for maybe something like this. And then I'd make it what this color of his hat, kind of a darker color, something like that. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, if you want me to do another one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Exquisite.
Thank you.
Simply masterful. All right. If we will wait a minute or two for questions. I think we can call it a night.
Now I have to close out all my toddler windows that I have.
Throw that one on your portfolio.
Yeah, you know, just on my portfolio website. Guys, if you do want to check out my portfolio website, it is online. It's ellenokamura.myportfolio.com. Yeah. So, but yeah. And feel free, after the workshop's over, throughout the whole week, throughout SummerHacks, feel free to contact me in Slack if you have any questions. I'd be happy to critique your design or help you with any design questions that you have.
Alrighty, I think we're good. As always, feel free to direct any questions straight to Ellen. She is available in the Slack for you. Thank you all for attending. Have a great weekend, and we will see you guys at our workshops and events next week. Remember, it'll be midpoint review, so get ready for that. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.